What prevents people from using their voice and being visible? Many fears get in the way. I had many of these myself. Fear of failure, fear of saying the wrong thing, fear of success, fear of judgment, fear of criticism, fear of conflict, fear of not being smart enough, fear of not having enough experience. And fear is ultimately just your ego trying to keep you safe. And this definitely happened to me. I didn't want to be judged. I didn't want to say the wrong thing and have the spotlight on me and everyone look at me. I had questions about whether I knew as much as other people in the room. And so that's why I sat in the back of the room and was more invisible. I wasn't speaking up. And I didn't realize at the time, but those fears don't have to be real unless you make them real. You have a choice. You can change that thought in your head from the fear-based thought to something more positive and empowering for you. And you can grow more than you ever thought you could. What are some ways that imposter syndrome can show up for leaders? Usually it happens when you're starting a new role or you have doubts about your ability to succeed in a role that you have. You're doing comparison with other leaders or you don't feel like you're good enough. Language is a big piece. They use language that diminishes their work and their value. I have a client who tends to talk about himself in a negative way. He puts himself down. He doesn't think he's adding value. He's not sure what he's doing and how he can talk to the senior leadership team. And so all of that language creates a perception about him that maybe he's not ready for the next step. Maybe he doesn't know as much as he thinks he does. And so we talk about how can you change that language for yourself? And by the way, it doesn't just happen in your work life. It's happening in your personal life. Whether or not you realize it or not, you're one person. And it happens in both places. So we've talked a lot about how to help him shift his language into a more positive way and really help him see himself in a different way, which ultimately helps others see him differently. So let's talk about what imposter syndrome is. If you haven't heard of it before, imposter syndrome was first identified in 1978 by Dr. Pauline Clance and Dr. Suzanne Imes. They found that this challenge impacts overachieving women who try to fit in and be perfect. High-achieving women attributed their success to mistakes, luck, or due to the fact that someone hadn't yet figured out that they didn't belong where they were. Although this initial work was focused on women, it actually happens to a lot of men as well. This was happening for me back when I first took on a management role. And I remember seeing a lot of people around me doing things, and I thought, gosh, I don't even know if I'm in the right role for myself. I don't know if I can be successful at this. And so I lived with a lot of doubt in my head and didn't even realize how much it was impacting my actions and keeping me small.